So, you want to be good at Bedwars. Great. You make bad life decisions. Because this game might very well consume you. But whatever. Here's all you need to know about Minecraft's most popular multiplayer PvP game. Bedwars takes place on various maps that all share a couple of characteristics. Islands for the players, Diamond Islands, and Emerald Islands. You start on your island with exactly 3 things: a generator, a bed, and 2 shopkeepers. Okay, so I guess 4 things. The generators will spawn gold and iron for you to use in the shops. One shopkeeper lets you buy items and armor for the price of iron and gold and emeralds. The other shop lets you buy upgrades for diamonds. You use everything you purchase from the shop to win the game, obviously. Your main objective at the start of the game is to protect your bed, because if you lose your bed and you die, you will not be able to respawn. So buy blocks from the shop to place around it, preferably wool or wood if you're just starting out in solo Bedwars. Next, you need to actually get moving to win the game. Do this by bridging over the void. There are approximately 15,000 methods of bridging, but the most common ones are ninja bridging and shift bridging. Shift bridging is the simplest bridging method. Hold down right click while walking backwards and holding shift, and this will very slowly bring you out over the void. It's very slow, but it's basically impossible to fall unless you let go of the shift key. The better method of bridging is ninja bridging. Basically, it's like shift bridging, except you only shift half of the time. You lightly press shift every block to achieve a faster bridge. Here's a clip with a keyboard and mouse cam. See how I alternate between holding shift and not holding shift. This is because you obviously are faster while you're standing instead of crouching, but you still need to crouch so that you don't fall into the void immediately. Now, you could learn to breezily or god bridge. These methods are faster, but also they're just very difficult and inconsistent. God bridging requires you to basically click at least 10 CPS, and I mean, you can do it with like a normal CPS, but your timing needs to be pretty insane. Mastering it takes way too much time. If you're just starting out, either shift bridge or ninja bridge. I very highly recommend ninja bridging. If you can't consistently ninja, then you should do the method that I used when I was first learning, where you shift bridge 1 block, then unshift for another block, and then go back down, and then you do it again. So basically, half the blocks you place, you're just shift bridging, and the other half you are ninja bridging, and it's much more consistent because you have time to consider each button press. So if you need to learn that way, that's the way that I learned. Also note, bridging is a vital aspect of the game, but being marginally faster than your opponent, while sometimes it might help you win out, is not incredibly important. Bedwars is also a game heavily reliant on one-on-one combat. If you want to win, you definitely can't avoid a fight, so here's your guide to attacking other bases. At the start of the game, you're going to want to rush. Put down either wool or wood on your bed defense. Now, note that this is mostly for solo or doubles. Depending on the generator speed, you might also use endstone or clay or something. Endstone is more resistant to blasts, and this is optional. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, to defend your bed. Some maps are either faster generators, so you can get enough blocks to rush incredibly quickly, or there's some maps like Lighthouse, and I think Pernicious too, along with Orchestra, where if you basically grab 32 blocks from the shopkeeper, you can probably get to your enemy's base if you bridge fast enough, so you can get there before they've placed down any defense. However, if they have time, they will most likely defend their bed with blocks. So on your first rush, either bring TNT or an axe if you're not going incredibly fast. Most people won't put down endstone as a defense, but if they do and you see it, bring a pickaxe. If you don't, then I don't know, hope for the best. Note that most of this is kind of a no-brainer. I'm just kind of addressing new players who've never played this before, because that's kind of who this video is for. Mostly because I'm helping host a private Bedwars tournament, and I want the people who play Minecraft but never play Bedwars, I want some of them to have, a guide. If you have TNT on your first rush, you can either place it above the base and jump down once it's exploded. However, this does open up a chance for your opponent to cover it and kill you. Also, you will take fall damage. So the better option is to knock them into the void or kill them by out PvPing them. Place the TNT while or after you do this, then break the bed and hope that you don't take too much damage, or just kill them and mine through it with a pickaxe, obviously. So, you've completed your first rush and have either killed your opponent or driven him off, hopefully. Now, you can either play aggressive and continue rushing, or pick up some supplies first. I tend to play with a mix of these two strategies. I will probably get full tools before my second rush, or at least a TNT. And if it's convenient, then I will pick up some diamond upgrades, probably get either sharpness or protection. If you happen to have 3 diamonds, then make sure to spend them on protection and a miner fatigue trap, reinforced armor and a mining fatigue trap, I guess. If you have 4, I recommend doing the same thing and saving the 4th one. I don't know, you can do whatever you want with your diamonds. So that's the basic rundown on solo and doubles Bedwars. It's very basic, I know. I could tell you more, but this video would take forever if I did that. So it's time to learn about my least favorite mode, fours. Now, not to say that fours is a bad mode, it's just I tend to like to solo queue my games, and when you solo queue, you can end up alone or whatever, and having to fight 4 other players is pretty frustrating a lot of the time. Fours Bedwars is just Bedwars with 4 large teams, faster generators, and smaller maps. I only play this mode if I'm like in a tournament or if I'm with friends, whatever. Don't solo queue fours or you'll probably go insane. But to have a functioning team in 4v4v4 Bedwars, or I guess 4v4v4v4 Bedwars, you will need 4 people, a voice room, and some knowledge of how the game works. Coordination is extremely important in any team game or sport. And the same thing applies here. You and your team have the best chance of winning if you practice and work together. Make sure that everyone has a rough idea of what to do, that you have some semblance of a plan, and especially if you're doing a competitive tournament, you want to know what your players are going to be doing. The thing about fours is that because there's more people that are going to be attacking you at once, it is more justified to use items that would generally be seen as scummy. I mean, I use KP sticks all the time, not so much fireballs. I use fireballs occasionally. Actually, a pretty good clip for that. But if you're going to rush and force Bedwars, I suggest that one person quickly acquires blocks at the beginning of the game. The other person brings some tools, preferably level 2, but whatever, you don't have to buy that, obviously. Or bring a TNT. It's preferable that you bring 2 players or 3. It doesn't really matter though. 2 is probably the best number because then one person can kill the opposing team while the other person, breaks the bed, which usually works pretty well if you guys are coordinated enough. In fours, you'll almost never find an uncovered bed, so make sure to use, bring tools and stuff to break stuff. If you go to rush a base with nothing, then the best you'll likely be able to do is either hide and punch the bed, or just continue killing them until you can somehow acquire a pickaxe or get reinforcements. So I wouldn't recommend it. Team upgrades and emeralds are also very important in gaining the upper hand in this mode. Make sure that if you aren't getting emeralds, nobody else is getting emeralds. Otherwise, they obviously have a pretty enormous tactical advantage with things like invisibility, ender pearls, etc. They can move around the map quicker and do better things with it. Obviously, you don't want your opponents to have the better gear. That's just kind of what that boils down to. But do attempt to acquire emeralds. You want emeralds as much as possible, because then you will be able to kill other teams efficiently and easily. Another thing I wanted to mention is bed trading. Bed trading is a no in any mode. Here's a clip of me doing an accidental bed trade. I thought that my fireball would hit him into the void. It didn't. We traded beds. I eventually actually won this game. The issue is that it's just not good. even if you take out the other person's bed, there's probably other people who have beds. Like, if you could trade your bed for everyone else's bed, it might make more sense, but obviously that doesn't work. So don't trade beds. Don't let your team trade beds. If somebody is at your base and you have time, jump in the void. It'll take 5 seconds to respawn. You'll lose all your stuff, but you'll be able to kill them and stop them from taking your bed, which is a pretty big, it's a big thing. In this mode, bed defenses are a lot more important. In fours, it's more important than in doubles. I suggest like the butterfly, which is end stone and glass, or 2 layers of end stone. Don't go huge on the bed defense, because A, it will make your base a bigger target, and B, it'll make your base harder to traverse for you and the opposing team, so whatever. But also remember that no matter how much bed defense you put on there, someone who has max tools can break your bed if you're not there, no matter what. No amount of bed defense will deter someone forever, so just keep in mind that you are the best defense for your bed, so if you want to put a light defense on there, just make sure that you're not going to leave it wide open. Speed is a pretty important aspect of trying to win larger team games in any variety, especially in Bedwars. You want to try to eliminate your target in at least the first 3 runs. A drawn-out fight will more than often end badly for both teams. So if you continue to fail attack runs, then you should probably attack from a different side or with different items or something to change it so that they don't just get to keep killing you over and over again. Because you can keep doing that, but eventually either they'll get lucky or you'll get lucky. Someone will slip up, but it's just not really a chance you want to take. The final thing I wanted to talk about in this video is PvP. Obviously, I can't teach you PvP solely from this video, but I can give you tips specific to Bedwars PvP. So here's 5 loose pointers to use in Bedwars 1v1s, or 2v1s, depending on the situation. I don't really know. Number 1 is use deflection methods. If you are either unable to defeat someone in a pure one-on-one combat, either because they're better than you or they have much better gear, then try to outsmart them. Place blocks, kind of force them to where you want them, and try to get them near the void if they have better gear than you. That way you don't have to kill them with damage. Use fireballs or KB sticks to move them around. You want them to be in a place that makes it favorable for your combat. If you're trapped, make sure you have some form of escape method, whether it be spamming blocks and running away, or fireballing, or throwing a pearl, whatever. Just make sure that you can get out or deter them if you're unable to beat them in a solid 1v1, especially if you don't have a bed. 2 is avoid bridge combat. Now this is a big one, especially if you don't have a bed. If you don't want to die and you're not able to block clutch consistently, which is when you place blocks beneath you so you don't fall, then avoid bridge fights, especially if you don't have a bed. If you're going to fight on a bridge, which is fine, usually if you don't have a bed, then use blocks and W tapping, try to give yourself a knockback advantage. In the event that you just want to, you don't want to fight, you don't have a bed, you can use fireballs to jump over your opponents on a bridge, and it'll usually either disorient them or knock them into the void, so it's kind of a win all around. 3 is just have armor and weapon upgrades. It's just a general thing. It's good to have a combat edge in any scenario. 4 is to avoid potion fights. If someone's attacking you with potions and you don't have the gear to rival them, then avoid the fight altogether, because if they have speed, they can destroy you decently easily if they're at least on par with your skill level. The 5th one is kind of a general game sense rule, and that's to only hunt finals. If you get yourself killed while clutching because, your bed was broken and you're clutching because you tried to kill someone who still has a bed, without really a reason, you're just kind of kill hunting, that's a pretty bad decision unless you are trying to, defend yourself, trying to take their bed, or, steal items that are actually important from them. Don't really go after someone for diamonds. If you really need to stop them then from, taking emeralds, then that's pretty justified. Anyway, that's 5 tips. We're coming to the close of this video. It's been a pretty long one, but just wanted to wrap up with saying, so Bedwars is a game that is, bridging is important to Bedwars, bed defense is important to Bedwars, PvP is very important to Bedwars, all the various skills are important. The most important skill in Bedwars is game sense, knowing where to be, what to do, who to attack. You want to make sure you don't play overly aggressive, but you don't play overly defensive. You want to make sure that if you're running a team, the team is well-rounded on offense and defense, and if you're going to be biased to either offensive or defensive strategies, make sure that you can do that well. If you're like caught without your bed, do your best to stack up on resources, eliminate weaker teams, and just keep yourself alive. And yeah, I guess that's all I snapped. I guess that's all the advice I have for you. Thanks for watching this outdated video. If you're one of the people preparing for the tournament that I'm helping organize, then I wish you the best of luck, even though I'm gonna flatten you for sure. But I'm not actually that good at Bedwars, like on a comparative scale. I have played it for quite a long time. My stats are pretty garbage, mainly because I've played Bedwars since I was like 10. And most 10-year-olds are pretty bad, obviously, at most video games they played. So I played for like 3 years until I actually got decently good. And so I have like a ton of deaths and losses from all of my old games. Like I've got like a couple thousand of them. So I kind of have to like work off my debt before I can actually start making, stat improvements. So that's my excuse. But thank you very much for watching this video. I'm not going to plug myself because if you enjoyed the video, you'll already have subscribed or whatever. I hope you continue to watch videos like this on the channel. I know I talked about not really making like Minecraft videos as much. I've done. Obviously this is a Minecraft video, but it's something a little bit more original, I guess. It's, I like making video essays and instructional stuff. So hopefully, if you're watching this, you won't become completely obsessed with Bedwars. Don't do that. If you're not good, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have less worth. I don't know why I said that, but whatever. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and just keep going, gamers. I guess, do your thing.